Hello, for today's episode, we'll be doing a simple Baja style fish taco with somewhat of a homemade tortilla using blue maseca. This recipe is inspired by the fish tacos they do down in Ensenada, Mexico. For this recipe, we grabbed half a pound of wild Pacific cod. You'll need a quarter or about a half of a cabbage, pickled red onions, which we have a video in the description down below, 2 cups of all-purpose flour and some extra for drying your fish, 2/3 of a cup of cornstarch, 1 tablespoon of yellow mustard, 4 tablespoons or about a quarter of a cup of fresh chopped oregano. Traditionally in Ensenada they use lard to fry their fish, but any type of frying oil will be fine, and 1 tall can of beer of your liking or a couple of regular beer cans. It's time to make our masa for our tortillas. We started off by using 1 cup of maseca, which is instant corn masa flour, and 1 cup of water. Instead of going for a 1:1 ratio instantly like us, pour your water a little at a time till it becomes dough-like. You'll know when it's ready when you can roll some masa in your hand and squish it with your other palm. If the masa is rounded all around with minimal or no cracks, it's ready. If you squish the masa and it's rounded but sticky, add a tablespoon of maseca at a time as it is too hydrated. If your masa is cracked, then just add a tablespoon of water at a time as it needs to be more hydrated. Now that it's ready, you can either let your masa sit outside or in the refrigerator while we start doing our batter. But just make sure you cover your masa with a damp paper towel to avoid the surface getting dry. Now it's time to make our batter. We're going to start off by mixing our flour, baking powder, cornstarch, mustard, and oregano in a large bowl. Put your beer into the bowl a bit at a time, carefully mixing before adding more. You'll want to keep adding until the batter looks a bit like pancake mix or until you have no more big chunks. Make sure it's not too watery or too thick. If it's too watery, just add half a cup of flour at a time. But also make sure you add a bit of all the other ingredients as well. If there's still some tiny clumps but you like the consistency of your batter, that's okay, as you're going to want to pass this through a fine mesh into another bowl. Now that your batter is done, you can put it aside and we can start preparing our frying oil and our fish. Put your oil in a pot and bring it up to 350 to 360 degrees Fahrenheit or 176 to 182 Celsius. While the oil is coming up to temperature, it's time to prepare our fish. We cut our fish about 5 inches long and about 1 inch wide. But also keep in mind that the fish will shrink once you start frying it. You're now going to want to drop your fish into the extra bowl of flour we had earlier and just cover the fish lightly. Shake off any excess flour and put your fish aside till the oil is ready. Also be cautious that your oil will drop in temperature once you put your fish in. Sadly, that happened to us as we had a thin pot because they don't hold heat as easily. You'll be better off with a thicker pot if you have one, but if you don't, just be cautious of this. You can turn your fish over every 2 minutes until you have a golden brown fish. Now it's time to make our tortillas. Roll your masa into the size of a golf ball or around 40 grams. Press with a tortilla press without putting too much pressure while making sure your tortilla is at a consistent size. Throw the tortilla on your comal, and once you see it darkening around the edges, it's time for the first flip. Let your tortilla cook for about another 30 seconds and then flip for a final time for an additional 30 seconds. You'll know your tortilla is ready when it starts to air up. If your tortilla doesn't air up, it's okay. Another way to check if it's ready is to fold it like a taco, and if it cracks, it needs more time. And if it doesn't crack, you're all good. Place your fish onto your tortilla and top with Mexican crema, cabbage, pickled red onions, and you could also add some limes on the side. Thanks for watching our video, hope you guys enjoyed. This was our first time making fish tacos and we had a lot of fun, and also we learned a lot by our mistakes. We also felt that these tacos could have used something a bit extra, like maybe pico de gallo or some type of salsa. What do you guys think?